welcome to everyone. I'm so glad you're here today. We are going to be reviewing for the Unit 1 test in our live session today. If you're not quite to the unit test yet, that's okay. And you'll get this information and it will be helpful. So we're going to go ahead and get started. If you have questions for me, if you want to hang on, if it's not pertaining to the slide that I'm on or something about what we're covering, if you want to hang on to those until the end, then I'll be sure to get those so that we can just stay on topic. All right, as we jump in and get started today, I want to share with you a little motivation. Trust yourself, you know more than you think you do. So I imagine you guys, especially that are brand new to online school, it's been a little bit of a challenge to get in and understand what's going on and how everything works. And then you're on top of that learning content that you're going to be tested over. So I want to just have you take a big breath, a big sigh of relief, and know that you'll be okay. You are getting this content. All right, so just a reminder, you guys can use the chat features. With a group this large, it gets very difficult to see who is asking questions, and when we're having like side conversations. Yesterday in our Target Teach, we had a lot of side conversations that were very distracting. So try to keep focused on the slide and the lesson while we're talking about that. And then those of you that may have been around for a little bit and you know some answers that you see pop up, you can try to answer some students' questions as well for if they're looking for things, things like that. So that is always appreciated. All right, so please remember that our comments need to be kind and appropriate. Like I said, with a group this large, it's helpful if we're staying focused on the lesson and there's not the random side chat. If you want a private chat with someone, that's okay. Like if you're having a conversation with one other person, just remember that I can see all of that, and so it needs to definitely stay appropriate. But you do want to soak in the content of the lesson as well. And then remember too, there is a student directory, so please don't exchange any personal information in our live sessions because it is recorded and the chat is recorded as well, so we don't want to share that with anyone. All right, so with that, just a reminder on class etiquette. Again, keep chat focused, kind and appropriate. Remember that I see all private chat, and if you are a distracting chatter, you will be muted. So that way you are not distracting people from trying to get what they need. And then as a reminder too, live sessions are not required. So I know that if you are brand new to our school, this might be a little bit different format for you. You maybe have been required to go to a Zoom class every day while you are doing distance learning, maybe at your old school. Our sessions are not required. So if you are feeling like you needed to just log in to get the check mark for the day, I'm not taking roll. I'm not seeing who's here or who's not. And so if you are overwhelmed with work and you need to do that, then you don't have to be in the session. So for the students who kind of log in and walk away, you don't have to be in the room. So it's really up to you. But I do like everyone that's in the session to, you don't have to necessarily interact. I won't call on you to speak on the microphone or answer questions, but I do like to know that you're alive and with us. So participation is always good, be it an emoji or something like that. All right. So our objective today is we definitely want to interact with our peers. This is a fun part of the week. You guys are working hard on lessons that you're taking yourself through all week long, and it's fun to come into a group session and see familiar names that you might see in other classes and interact and play games and have fun. So we definitely want to do that. And today we will be covering some of the content that you'll see in the Unit 1 test, and I'm going to be giving you some information to help you prepare for that Unit 1 test. All right, so a tip for later, we will be playing a Kahoot in a little while. So I know there's a lot of lag when I screen share, and sometimes that makes it slow to be able to answer questions fast, and that's really important in the game. So if you have another device handy, a phone, an iPad, I think a Kindle Fire, anything that you can download an app. Kahoot has an app, and you just enter the game pin there so you can download it and be ready to play and have a little bit better game experience. So it's not required, just a tip in case Kahoot is giving you any trouble. So I'm going to skip our word pool and go straight into the unit note guides. As you get close to the unit test, I want to remind you guys that you can use notes on your unit test. They do need to be printed off. You're not able, I mean, you can have a computer and you can have a Word document or something up. You cannot use any other outside source when you're taking your online test. So it might be the most handy to have those notes printed off. If they are typed or handwritten, either one, it doesn't matter. The note guides are very handy. They can be found on the Science homepage in the announcements. So if you scroll down, they are here. And there is a way to refresh those. You don't ever want to X out of the announcements because they'll go away forever. So there's a way to refresh those so that you see them all again. But you can click here and it'll open a Word document to print, or I put these for you guys this time in Unit 1 at the very beginning. So if this isn't something that you utilized right off the bat, maybe you didn't really know it was there or what it was, it's a great thing to print now and go through to do as a review to prepare for the test. So I want to encourage you to have notes ready to go to use when you take the test. Okay, you want to definitely have the best odds possible when you're getting ready to take a unit test. The other thing that's really cool about our unit note guides, or any notes that you take on your own, is that they can be submitted for extra credit. It is amazing how many people don't utilize this extra 3 points. So if you notice, tests are worth 30 points. The Part 1 test is 10 questions that is multiple choice, and so it's 30 points. If you miss one, your score is a 27, you still get an A. But if you submitted your extra credit notes, that's giving you those 3 points back. So you won't necessarily see it on your test grade, but it will be added into your course total. So I'm showing you here on the screen just where to go if you want to submit those. And that is content. And then you look kind of down the left side there and you see extra credit. And you'll get into this page, and there is a drop box for Unit 1 specifically. So you want to put those there after you take your Unit 1 test and that all your notes are complete. So you won't add to those as you go through the lessons, you'll do it at one time. So any questions on the notes or how the test works before we go on? All right, hang on. Do you have to have a picture? What kind of picture? So I'll wait while you're typing that. Your notes, the overall grade is posted as extra credit for notes. And then the test grade, yeah, you won't see that on your test grade. Your test score will still stay the same, but you will see over in your grades, it'll show extra credit, probably down at the bottom if you're looking at grades, and you'll see those 3 points there. Yeah, some people learn better by having pictures or diagrams in their notes, and in Unit 1, there's not really anything like that, but as you guys get into chemistry and looking into Unit 2, when you're talking about atoms and molecules, those may be where you would want to include a picture. Okay, yeah, the notes can be Open, it may just not allow you because there is a lockdown browser, I think, for the test. So if you're not able to switch back and forth on a tab, you might want to just have them printed out beforehand. But anybody else that may have experience with that, as a teacher, it is definitely different if I open it up. So if you have experience with that before and you were able to have your notes in like a Word document open, you may share to answer that question. So anybody, you can add to that. All right, so let's keep going. I'm going to move a little quicker here. When you get into the lesson review, you guys, you see this little kind of odd video there, and it's like a little spaceship coming in, and it kind of guides you through a couple of the things that you need to remember in the unit. So I'm just going to screen share with you a little bit to hit the hot spots on what we want to review. So I do encourage you when you're going through and reading the slides to play all the videos, because I have seen a test question in the past pulled from some of the content or the images shared in some of the video simulations, or like the boxes when you have to click through multiple boxes and read. There is information there that I've seen on quizzes and tests. So you want to make sure you do go through all of those. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and we'll kind of take a look, like I said, at the important, the little person that tells you what happens. Are you talking about like when they have the little avatar person that kind of is going through and explaining part of the lesson? So let me know, Bryson, if that's maybe what you're referring to, and we'll kind of go through. So looking through these 8 slides, guys, I'm going to, again, just share with you really quick. You learned about making observations. So on this first slide, it's just showing that you have like this weird bright light come near you, and you're trying to figure out what it is. So we know that when we're trying to understand something, we make observations about it, and so it's asking like how tall it is, the mass, things like that. So those are observations we would make. And then we understood, we went through how to take measurements of things. You guys learned about the SI unit for length, SI unit for how we measure other objects. So remember the important things here. The SI unit for length is the meter. So that was on the note guide as well. There was a place that you could fill in, because remember, metric and SI, while they're very, very similar, there's a standard unit, and those can be a little bit different. So for instance, the gram and kilogram are different in SI and metric. So that chart is in your unit note guide. It was also in the lesson. So just make sure that you know that difference. So any 3 of the following, it says that basically the question was, what are some other SI units? You've got kilogram for time, for mass, time per second, ampere, if you remember, was an electric current. The temperature is Kelvin. In metric, the temperature is Celsius. So that's another one that's a little different. And then SI units, one important question you will need to know is that, why do we use these? It allows scientists to communicate around the world using the same system of measurement. So that same system of measurement is really important there. I'm giving you a big hint on that one. All right, so it talks a little more too about taking measurement, how you record those, making sure you include units, things like that. So here you're going through and identifying if something is an open or closed system. So you're looking at the video and you see that this little spaceship thing is kind of floating around, and we're trying to decide, is it an open system? Is it a closed system? What's going on? So the answers here, it says it's operating in an open system because it came from outside. So remember the difference in open and closed is closed system is everything's happening inside a system, and then the open system means you're taking something in from the outside. So think of the human body, definitely a system. We take in things from the outside, food, water, air, things like that. So we're an open system. All right. So going on, talking about models, there are some model questions on the test, so you do need to know that models are used to help us understand something. The model is usually simpler than the actual system. So simpler meaning if you construct a model of an atom and we're looking at a real atom, we obviously cannot get the electrons moving around, but we can show where they are. So it's simpler, right? A model of a car is going to be much more simple than the real car. So just kind of keep that in mind. They don't always necessarily have to be smaller. Our model of an atom obviously will be much larger than a real atom. So size is not really a factor. And we also know that there are models that are like simulations of things happening. So if we were to run something through a system and we were to be able to set that up to replicate what it would look like, running through a system, that would be a model as well. So it could be a simulation too. All right, so going on here. Comparing samples, this is just you're looking at data and comparing the two objects. It reminds you that as you collect data, you have two different types, qualitative and quantitative. So make sure you know the difference in those two. And finally, a simple universe. This talks about really just figuring out what this was and the observations that we made. So going on from there, that covers all the slides in the review. They do give you a review model. I have the slides on this, so I'm going to stop sharing. I know it can get a little blurry. So moving on, if you're able to go through and answer that page that looks like this, and you're able to kind of understand what that learning goal is, then you're in great shape. So you will do well on the test. So we're going to take a second, and I know this will be difficult with 45 of you in the room. I'm going to give you the whiteboard tools. So you guys are mainly 8th grade students. That means you're 13 and 14 years old. I know that you know better than to scribble all over the screen. That would not be helpful. Some of you may just need to screenshot this vocabulary and have it in your notes. So vocab is the part 2 of the test. It's always going to be the part 2 of the test. So anybody is welcome to use the whiteboard tools. You will want to use the pen tool, which is the 3rd one down, and match the keyword and the definition. If you don't have these words in your notes, you may want to spend a second taking maybe a screenshot or something. This is also in the review. All right, but you want to have the keywords defined so that you can have those for the part 2 test. All right, so it looks like we're off to a pretty good start. I think if you make a mistake and you need to erase the little square at the top with the arrow, you can right-click your line. You don't want to clear out the whole screen, but right-click on the line you're trying to erase and delete that one. So it looks like we're doing pretty good so far. We don't have some of the top ones identified, so we got it now. Measuring the quality of something is a qualitative data. We've got constant. I don't see anything going here yet. Constant. So it looks like if you go down to the bottom, there we go, good job. Values or conditions, a scientist keep the same. And all right, it looks like we've got most of them filled in. So I'm going to take the whiteboard tools away. We'll go through and make sure we have them matched correctly. An experiment is, it's difficult to read these now. I might have to move them over. Experiment is the ordered procedure steps. There we go. I can see it now. A set of ordered procedures, so it looks like we got that. This SI system, we know, is the unit, right, the International System of Units. So looks like everyone did a really good job there. All right, so really quickly, we need to move on. We are going to play, oh, I have two images here. That's odd. So if someone could help out Aiden who cannot hear, would you help him by typing in the little wizard thing that you do to help with the sound? So just maybe type a note like, hey, Aiden, use the audio setup wizard. If someone could help him do that, that would be really awesome. And I'm going to go ahead and get our Kahoot ready. So let me get you guys the link. Thank you, Amanda, for typing that. It's the, you may tell them it's the red deer at the top. Thank you guys for helping with that. All right, I'm going to turn my volume down. And if you do not want to play the Kahoot, you are free to go, but it is very helpful with some of the quiz and test questions that you'll see. Yep, the game code's coming. Hang tight 1 second. All right, so if you're heading out, have a great day. If you're jumping in to play the game, there's the link you need. And the game code is 1250248. All right, so let's see. We've got some names coming in. You can use your real name. You can use a fun name. Just make sure your name is a nice name. So if you have another session you need to get to, you can go ahead and log out. But if you do want to play, this is going to be a really great review for the test. So very helpful. All right, is there anybody still trying to get in? All right, so again, here's the link if you need it. Okay, just click on the link, kahoot.it, and type in 1250248. So Bryson, if you've already taken the test, you may do really well in the game, or you don't have to stay if you don't want to. All right, anyone else still needing to get in? The game is about 17 questions. It will go pretty quick, so if you are kind of trying to gauge how much time is left, this should take less than 10 minutes. Oh, Rachel, 100 on the test. Good job. Yeah, the lag for Kahoot and screen sharing is really bad. So that's why I always say use the app if you can. All right. Anybody else need me to wait so we can go ahead and get started? Speak now or forever hold your peace. All right, here we go. Are you ready? Question 1. What idea best describes a model? A model replicates and simplifies a system. A model has to be the actual size of what it represents. Models include every detail of what it represents, or a simulation is not an example of a model. All right, that one was a lot of words, but the model replicates and simplifies a system. So let's see how we did. Good job. Next question, true or false? The law of gravity is universal, meaning in effect at all times. Is that true or false? Pretty easy, right? All right, 18 of you got that right. Great job. Let's see. Okay, Ian, you're the highest climber. Question 3, if I create an experiment to test how sunlight affects plant growth, what's the independent variable in the experiment? Is it the plant, the amount of water given, the amount of sunlight each day, or how much the plant grows? The independent variable, it's the one thing that we're changing. All right, so if you put amount of sunlight, you are correct, because in the experiment it says to test how sunlight affects plant growth. So the only thing we can change there is the amount of sunlight. That's the independent variable. Good job. All right, Hannah has come up to number 1. Next question. So in that same experiment, what is the dependent variable? Would it be the type of fertilizer used, the height the plant grew, if the plant produced fruit, or the type of plant used? Remember, dependent variable, something we measure, so the height would be correct. All right, I tried to give you some big hints there at the end. All right, so we didn't change a lot of places yet. So question 5 says, what unit of measurement do we use to measure mass? Kilogram, millimeter, seconds, or liters? Should be pretty easy for you guys. You're measuring mass. All right. Good job, kilograms is correct. Okay, here we go. Question 6. What unit of measurement do we use to measure temperature in the metric system? Temperature. Is it Celsius, Kelvin, or Fahrenheit? Remember, you have metric and SI. All right, Celsius is correct. In the metric system, we use Celsius. In the SI system, we use Kelvin. All right, so Cole came up to number 1, Penelope number 2. Question 7, what tool do we use to measure the volume of a liquid? Is it a scale, test tube, graduated cylinder, or beaker? All right, a graduated cylinder, that is what we use to measure liquid. 7 of you got that, great job. Cole is still in number 1 spot. What tool do we use to measure length? Is it a meter stick, a scale, a graduated cylinder, or inches? All right, a meter stick is correct. Inches would be a unit of measurement, and it's not metric, so that one is not correct. All right, good job. Jacqueline, you're at 3 places. So number 9, what tool do we use to measure the amount of force an object exerts? Is it a scale, a spring scale, a meter stick, or a balance? Measure force. You did get one of these in your science lab kit. A spring scale is correct. Good job. All right, Cole, you have an answer streak of 9. Great job. So when we're collecting data, how do we get an average of something? Is you add the numbers and multiply by 3, or do you add the numbers in a trial and divide by how many numbers are used? If you're getting an average. All right, good job. You guys have that one down. Let's see what happens. Penelope, answer streak of 10, great job. Okay, if I've collected observations from an experiment, such as color, shape, smell, what type of data is that? Is it qualitative or quantitative? All right, qualitative. Remember that a quantity is a number and qualitative is something we observe. All right, so that changed the game a little bit. Cole is still in the lead. Question 12, if I've collected data and measurements, what type of data is that? Is it qualitative or quantitative? So if you missed the last one, you should get this one. All right, everyone got it. It is quantitative. Good job. Penelope back with an answer streak of 12. If I want to share my data as parts of a whole, what type of graph is best? A line graph, pie graph, scatter plot, or bar graph? So I want to share the data as parts of a whole. It is a pie graph. Good job. Okay, Cole still in the lead. We have some place changes. What is the best type of graph to use for data that doesn't overlap? Data that does not overlap. Is it a bar graph, pie graph, line graph, or scatter plot? This one is kind of hard, but it is in your lesson 9 on graphing. It's a bar graph, so if it doesn't overlap, you're able to clearly see the bar in each part of your graph. So that one's a little tricky. Good job. Looks like Ara came up a couple places. Question 15. What type of graph would I use to represent data that can't be grouped into separate categories? Would that be a bar graph, pie graph, line graph, or scatter plot graph? The data can't be separated. All right, that one is a scatter plot. Good job. Hard one. You don't use that one very often. Okay, so Jacqueline has come up, and Chloe is the highest climber. We have 2 more questions. What type of graph would be best to use when I want to see a change from one data point to another? Would it be red bar graph, blue line graph, gold pie graph, or green scatter plot graph? It is a line graph. Good job. All right, Hannah has come up. This is our last question, so let's see what happens. If I'm not going to change one factor in an experiment, what is that called? Is it a variable, constant, or experiment? All right, many of you got that. Excellent. It is a constant. It remains the same. So great job. Let's check out our podium. 3rd place, Penelope, great job. You only missed 1 question. Hannah missed 2 questions. And Cole, you had a perfect game. Great job. So Ara and AGW were your runners-up. All right, guys, great job. Thanks for hanging with me on that. Let's go back and jump right to the end here. If you did not do well on the Kahoot, you could go back, watch that again, take some notes on it. The recording will be available in a little bit. The way you can get to all those recordings is Content and Class Connect recordings. So thank you guys so much for coming today. I hope you enjoyed it and you are ready for your Unit 1 test. If you have any questions and you want to hang out, let me know. Otherwise, have a great day.